Alright, what's up guys, Daly from Daly TNG, and today I'm going to show you guys the deck that I'm taking first place in my locals with. I decided to play Phantasm Spiral Metalfoes. I've always really liked Phantasm Spiral as a deck, but there's not a lot of good ways to play it. Like, you have kind of two options. That's Metalfoes, and the other one's Paleo. And I had all the Metalfoe stuff, I just didn't really have a good way to play it, so I decided I'd put the deck together for fun, and yeah, it actually is surprisingly not bad. It has some pretty good matchups across the board, holding up pretty well versus most of the meta. Just dropping big normal monsters and getting advantage is usually pretty good, especially when they can't Widow Anchor you. But yeah, and I actually didn't play any Sky Strikers. They lost pretty early on in the rounds at our locals for some reason. They mostly lost to road stuff. I know, like, the Dinos took one out. I think then another one had lost to the Spiral Nightmare. So I played versus some okay decks, and yeah, round one I played versus ABC. You have a pretty good matchup there. Just being able to pop their Union Hanger whenever they use it, and being able to pop any busters they make for free is pretty strong. Then round two I played versus Nightmare, not Nightmare. I played versus Zombie Sworn, and Zombie Sworn's an okay deck, but it's just not the best, and I just out-advantaged it. And then round three, I played versus Spiral Nightmare, and I ended up winning in time in a game that was already pretty much locked up, though. He was at like 200 life points. He couldn't kill me, and the next turn, if I just had something, if I could just like summon a Gold River, which I could easily, because I had two counters in Graveyard and a Gold River, or not a Gold River banished, a Volflame my extra deck, I could have easily just summoned that and killed him. Then round four, I played versus Dinos in the finals, and I just crushed him 2-0. Like, it wasn't even close. Dinos don't have really good matchup versus this deck, just because their back row matchup's not the best in general. Like, if you can just, especially when you're monsters, you don't really care about that much. So I ended up beating them. But yeah, the deck for $50, it's a $50 budget deck. I pretty much built it off of my random stuff and like an Electromite. Like, this is the only expensive card in the deck. I think the next most expensive card is Desires. So I played Ghost Loaders in the sideboard, but you can just swap those for Veilers, and yeah, I mean, like, you're looking at $20 for this, $20 for the core, and you're done with the deck. So it's pretty cheap, pretty budget, and it'll only go down with time once we get the Megathons. So yeah, if you guys want a fun deck to play that's pretty cheap, you like Pendulums, this is definitely an option to go for. So I hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Alright, to start off, I'll just go through my monsters. So it is Metalfoe Phantasm Spiral, so it unfortunately, like, I don't play any hand traps on my main board, and I wanted to keep it like pretty budget because I'm not really like playing the game super competitively at this point. I sold my ashes and stuff and my infinite transiences. So yeah, we start the lineup is just 13 Metalfoes. That's all we're playing on the main board for monsters. That's all you need. The Phantasm Field Spell acts as another monster. These monsters do enough on their own to like beat stuff down. You can link with them, and the fact that they're pendulums means you just don't have to play that many as long as you can like get to your scales at some point, which this deck does fine. Now after that we play 3 Desires. So the reason we play Desires here is just because all of our monsters are pretty much 3-ofs. Everything in this deck is for the most part a 3-of, all the cheat cards, so or at least a 2-of, so you're not going to get rid of them all. After that, I played 2 Call by the Grave, just because outing hand traps is nice, like if they ash your Desires or something along those lines. It also has like multi-purpose use for slot matchups, and it's helpful. From there, I also played 2 Pacifists. I only played 2, which I think some people think is debatable, but honestly, you don't want to draw multiples. Having more in your deck is generally a bad thing, because after you if you resolve 1, you're usually going to win the game, so you get 1 to 2 searches off of it, and then if you draw one more of the traps, which you play 4 of, so it's not super uncommon to draw one of the traps, you kind of fuck yourself, because at that point you are just like screwed on this card, which this card's dead. So I only play 2, just because I only want to resolve it usually twice. I want to resolve for its full value, but you only resolve it twice normally, because by the time you resolve it, you're already like 2 to 3 turns in. You desired it probably, so you only need to resolve it twice. After that, it's kind of dead. So yeah, I don't want to play too many. 2 Painful Decision, which is just standard because it's Metalfoes. Having 1 in Graveyard isn't bad either. From there, I played 1 full Metalfoes Fusion, 1 Metamorphation. So I play 3 Metaverse. So I need another field spell that wasn't terrible and like functioned with the deck. And this boosts your Metalfoes by 300 attack, 300 defense. Metalfoes monsters you control or set effect monsters are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So essentially, like when you play versus, so let's say you're playing versus like Sky Strikers, like they straight up just like don't have an efficient way of like dealing with this. Like they don't have a way to deal with this. Just straight up, like your monster is just bigger than what they can beat over almost ever until super late in the game, and it's unaffected by their card effects. So that they have to remove this, and then they also have to remove this with another card. And like if as long as you get them to use their first pop, you're usually good to go on that, because then you can just play through the rest of their stuff fairly easily. After that, just one upstart because 39 cards is good. 3 Phantasm Spiral Battles. So this is kind of the lifeblood of the deck outside of Pacifist, which I'll explain how these kind of go together. So Pacifist does something really cool. So Pacifist effect is that this card's name is always treated as Yumi, whatever. So you cannot normal summon or special summon effect monsters that turn you activate either card effects, which doesn't really matter. We're playing metalfoes. Once per turn, if you normal summon or special summon exactly one normal monster and no other cards, add one Phantasm Star card from your deck to your hand. If your opponent activates card effect from if you want to activate card effect, except during the damage step, and you control no token, special summon one Phantasm Spiral token, Worm type, water, level 8, attack, defense, pheasant. So the idea is that your opponent, a lot of the time, is going to you're going to get a search off your normal summon, and then on their turn they're going to activate a card. You get another search, so you get 2 of these to hand, and now you have 2 free pops for your opponent. Like you just get to pop 2 of their cards for free, basically because you played this one card and summoned a metalfoe. And so this card reads that all monsters control normal monsters, minimum 1. One target your opponent controls, destroy it. If Umi is on the field, you can activate this card from your hand. So the idea is that you can just pop a card they control for free. There's like no cost to it. It's just amazing. Like you just pop one of your opponent's cards for free. That's like so broken in my opinion. So just being able to get that free advantage like really sets you up. In a deck like ABC, their boss monster isn't immune to like targeting, so you just pop it for free. It's just really nice that you just get that free pop and like advantage and removal. After that, we play 3 Metaverse. So the nice thing about Pacifist Spiral is that it triggers on resolution, not doesn't chain to the activation. So you can just if your opponent activates a card, you can chain Metaverse, and then on resolution, Pacifist will trigger to search a card. So to search one of your traps and summon a token and search a trap. So it's amazing in that regard. After that, we play 3 Torrential Tribute, because our monsters don't really matter. We're summoning a token and we're summoning pendulum monsters, so they just recur each other. They recur themselves. We're playing metalfoes with 2 counter because we just need more cards. After that, we play the 1 combination to play metalfoes, and then we play the other Phantasm Spiral Trap card. So this card is essentially a breakthrough still. You just banish it, or you just activate it from your hand. Same thing where if you control an Umi and a normal monster, you activate it from your hand, and then it negates the card effect and then drops your attack by 1,000 and defense by 1,000. So it just lets you easy out stuff. Really neat, really useful. We'll go into side deck from there. So I played triple Roast Loader. It's the only money card in this deck. The only thing over $10 is this card. I guess an Electromite, but I don't think it's super necessary. 2 Sphere Modes, 3 Cyclone, 3 Mind Crush. On the second Spiral Power because there's some matchups to against. 1 Judgment and 1 Warning. These are just for going first. So essentially, there's supposed to be a Rivalry and Dozen match in here, but I don't have them for some reason. I have no idea where they are. At least I didn't feel like going through my combo box for them. So they should be in there. I think they're really good in this deck. They're good versus the meta, but I just didn't have them, so whatever. After that, we play 1 Crimsonite, 1 Orichalk, 1 Mithrilium, 1 Adamante, and then I was borrowing a Full Metal Alchemist because I, for some reason, can't find one, and I don't feel like ordering it. After that, for Link Monsters, we play 1 Decode Talker. I sold off my Borreload and Saryuja at the last event I was at because I'm like, I'm not going to Nats. Like, I have other stuff to worry about. So I'm not going to Nats, so I just played this as my only monster. It didn't really matter. I don't link someone that much. 1 Electromite. This card matters. It's kind of super important to out stuff, or like to extend your boards further, so I would recommend playing this card if you can. If not, that's fine. It's not a huge deal. 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix, and then 1 Mermaid for my only nightmares. Like again, I sold off my Nightmare Core also, so like my expensive ones. I sold the Ibli, Unicorn, and Griffin. So like this is all I'm playing, but that's fine because these are all you really need to play. The point of the Nightmare is just to pop a card with one of these 2, then just make Mermaid so you can link or Pendulum Summon from there if you need to. After that, there should be 2 Link Spiders in here. However, I don't have any, so I don't have a second one. I was borrowing one from my friend, so yeah. And then a Mystic Radiant. So the idea behind Link Spider Mystic Radiant, is that you get to a game state where you can only Pendulum Summon 1 monster, and so you Pendulum Summon 1 the turn before, and then if you're like simplified, next turn you can't Pendulum again. So you make a Link Spider, and then you Pendulum Summon a guy underneath it, and you attack your opponent. And then if you're still simplified at that point, you make the second link spider with the one you summoned, link those for Mrs. Radiant, so now you can like link someone to make plays. That's literally the only reason it's in there, but it is relevant at times. Finally, Underclock Taker, and there should be a Doolittle Chimera, but again, I don't know where mine are, so my friend who plays metalfoes, I just like, hey, let me borrow your stuff really quick, so he let me, and I have to play the deck from there. So that's it. Pretty good deck. I mean, really cheap. Like, there's the only thing you're spending money on this deck is this card, and then like these, which you really don't have to play. You can just like swap them for Veilers. So, like you're looking, the main deck itself is like $50 at most. Like I don't think you even have to spend $50 at this main board. You can probably order it online for 30 or 20. And it's pretty good. It's an okay deck. It's like decent enough to like fight against the meta for budget. Is really budget. After that, we played Ghost Ogre. This is expensive. You don't need it. You can like swap it for Veiler. Like hand traps are important, but if you can just play cards that help break boards, that's also nice. And then this is necessary, but it's only $20 now. It went down a lot, so I would say you can, like I said, if you want to build this deck, you can build the whole deck. I would say for $50, $60 at most, including an Electromite. So